Today we continue on with our NHL draft review and prospect pool analysis. Today we're looking at the Buffalo Sabres, who appear to possibly have an incredibly stacked team for the future. We'll discuss the Sabres and their draft prospects coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're going to continue on with our 2022 NHL draft review, as well as analyzing the rest of the prospect pool for each of the NHL teams. Today we're looking at the Buffalo Sabres. Of course, the Sabres have been a long stretch of time here without playoff hockey. We've seen them go through rebuilds, and then it looks like it's like a rebuild after a rebuild, so to speak. But the good news here is, as much as the fans have been kind of suffering and waiting for, progress and playoffs for a long time, I think we're closer than ever to seeing this team realize some real full potential here in the not too distant future. They've drafted well. They've had a little bit of lottery luck recently with the first overall pick with Owen Power, and they've done a good job here, kind of making sure that they're deep at all positions. So now let's jump into their 2022 NHL draft prospects. We'll show you who they selected, tell you a little bit more about them, and then from there we'll take a look at the remaining top prospects still in the pool for the next generation of Sabres coming up through the pipeline here. Here's a summary of the 2022 drafted prospects for the Buffalo Sabres. We'll go into each of these a little bit further here, but as you can see, they made a lot of picks. They had 3 first-rounders. They kept them all, taking players from various parts of the world here. They ended up getting a goalie, a few forwards, and a few more defensemen here as well. But overall, they made a lot of choices, except between the early round, as well as the second, third, fourth, fifth, multiple sixth and seventh rounders as well, to add a lot of bodies to this already pretty deep prospect pool. So let's first take a look at the first selection. Matthew Savoie, a right shot center, born in Alberta, 5'9", 175, so he's not overly huge by any means, but certainly a very dynamic playmaking center iceman. Put up 90 points in 65 games in the WHL, playing for Winnipeg, 55 assists, including 35 goals. So he's not a guy who can't score, but he's certainly more of a play-driving, playmaking right shot center who appears to be a pretty dynamic player heading for NHL stardom. They then took Noah Ostlund with their second first rounder, also 18 years of age, 5'11", 163, taken number 16th overall. Ostlund's certainly a player with a lot of offensive upside as well. And a guy you could also kind of similar attributes in a way to Savoie, a playmaking, play-driving centerman. 33 assists in 32 games playing in Sweden this past year for a total of 42 points. Not as many goals as Savoie, so certainly looks like he's more of the playmaker than a goal scorer by any means, but still another centerman as well. The third pick, also a left shot center. We see a pattern here. We're really loading up on centers. Jiri Kulich is a 6-foot center, 172 pounds from the Czech Republic, also 18 years of age, taking number 28th overall. Put up 14 points in 49 games. He's known more as a two-way center, so he might project to be more of a middle six center iceman, but at the same time, he's shown times, especially in international play, that he can be more of a goal scorer as well. So to me, I think he projects more like probably a third-line center with some good offensive upside. Sabres' next pick, second round, 41st overall. This might be a bit of a reach, but they decided to go for a Finnish goaltender. Finland's put out a lot of great goalies. Tobias Lainenen's 6'4", some places have him listed as 6'5", 215 pounds. Because of his size and potential, I think that's why they decided to take a chance and that they have so many picks here. But he certainly has, like I said, great size for a goalie. Showed a lot of poise in the league this past year, but certainly needs to continue to develop, needs to work on his athleticism. Certainly going to be a ways away. I think it's a little bit of a project, but most goalies need 3 to 4 years to develop anyway, so we'll see what the future holds. Next up, they took Viktor Nuchev, a left winger from Russia, 18 years of age, 6'2", 165 pounds, taken with their third round pick, number 74 overall. Of course, another player who put up some really solid offensive numbers, 67 points, including 40 goals in 61 games. So certainly a real possible goal producer here, real sniper. At least the only problem is, of course, with the Russian program is you don't know when they're going to be available to make the jump to North America. Next up, they took Mats Lindgren, a left shot defenseman born in Vancouver, BC. Hasn't quite turned 18 yet. Will do so later in August. 5'11", 173 pounds. Another fourth round pick here and 106 overall from the Kamloops Blazers of the Western Hockey League. Certainly a good puck-moving defenseman, somebody who's able to drive the play, picking up 39 assists and 44 points in 68 games. Not a huge goal scorer by any means. Obviously, will need time to develop in his own end, but a good defensive prospect. Next up, they took Vasyvold Komarov, another right-shot Russian defenseman, playing in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League this year. 18 years of age, 6'2", 182 pounds. A fifth-round pick here, number 134 overall. Didn't put up terrific numbers, but has 19 points in 60 games for the Ramparts. Obviously, he's going to need some time to develop, but like I said, right-shot defensemen are getting to be a little bit harder to come by, even if they appear to be a later-round project, something that you want to take a chance on here if you're Buffalo. But again, defense was not an area that they were really focusing on with this draft anyway. Then they took Jake Richard, a right-shot forward playing the right wing, 17 years of age, will turn 18 in August, from Jacksonville, Florida, 6'1", 171 pounds. Played this past season in the USHL, putting up 47 points, including 18 goals and 29 assists for Muskegon Lumberjacks. So obviously a player in the late rounds here who appears to have some decent potential. Obviously, like I said, it's one of those players that's not played at a super high level yet. I would imagine he'll likely end up playing in U.S. college hockey here for some time before making the pro jump. And then they took Gustav Karlsson, a left shot centerman here, 18 years of age, 6'1", 165 pounds. Another 6th-round pick here, 187th overall from Sweden. Put up 48 points in 41 games playing in the Swedish Junior League. Did get a couple of games at the higher level as well. So those are some pretty impressive totals. And for another centerman added to the mix here with a late-round pick, you really can't go wrong at that point. The next selection in the 7th round, 202nd overall, they took Joel Rakovic Bernson. Now, of course, he's a left winger, 5'11", 165, playing in Sweden. Another Swedish winger here, 49 points in 47 games. Certainly looks like he has potential in his 7th round pick when you can get a player that's, even though it's not a real high-level league, putting up those kind of numbers, certainly worth taking a chance on to add some more depth here to the prospect pool on the wings. And then with their last selection, they took Linus Sjödin, who's a left shot right winger, playing, of course, in Sweden again. They took a lot of Swedes here in this draft, 19 years of age, so obviously been draft eligible for some time. 211th overall, 5'11", 168. Obviously playing in the Junior Sweden League, of course, was called up later on in the season where he spent the bulk of the year putting up 11 points in 49 games. So not a bad prospect here for that late into the draft. Now let's jump into the remainder of their prospect pool, players that they had from previous drafts, including Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in goal. We'll start with the goaltenders here. UPL still certainly appears to be the goaltender of the future for this franchise. He's now 23 years of age, 6'5", 217 pounds. Will likely have an opportunity this year to be obviously again the starter at the AHL level, with it being the first call up. And they obviously have Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie now at the NHL level. Barring injury, though, he will be the first guy to get an opportunity. We've seen him at the NHL level. We've seen him at the AHL level. I think he's close to being a full-time NHLer. Depending on how the season goes, it could even happen this year, depending on what happens with the other goalies. If not, I think it's fair to say next year for sure, as long as he progresses the way that he's projected, UPL will be a full-time NHL goaltender for the Buffalo Sabres at this time next season. Now, of course, we also have Erik Portillo still playing college hockey for the University of Michigan. Now, of course, he's not signed, so there is a little bit of uncertainty here whether or not he will sign and be part of the team's future. But another good-looking goaltender, 21 years of age now, 6'6", 224 pounds, drafted back in the 3rd round in 2019. Put up some impressive numbers playing for Michigan, where he will go back and play again this season. So obviously we'll see what the Swedish goalie can accomplish in college hockey and whether or not he will sign with the Sabres, hopefully at the wrap-up of the current season. Now on to defensemen, of course, with the former 1st overall pick, Owen Power, left shot D, 19 years of age. Of course, the 1st overall pick here in 2021. Had a taste of the NHL late last year, playing 8 games, putting up 2 goals and 1 assist after signing out of the University of Michigan program. This guy appears to be very mature for his age, will be a solid two-way defender and certainly a major building block. This guy has already played against men at an international level and looked not one little bit out of place. I think he will be an absolute tower of strength on that back end for the Sabres for many years to come. Of course, we also have Ryan Johnson, another left shot defenseman, American-born, 20 years of age, 6 feet, 173, was a first rounder late in the 1st round in 2019 as well, playing for the University of Minnesota. So, of course, he will still need to be signed once his college career is completed. But right now, University of Minnesota has themselves a pretty good defenseman, and the Sabres have themselves a pretty good prospect here for another one on the blue line, which he might have a tough time cracking the blue line, given all the other youth they already have on that back end. Of course, that takes us to Jack Quinn, number 8th overall, first round pick in 2020, 20 years of age now, 6 feet, 185, played for the Ottawa 67s, and has absolutely dominated the American Hockey League. I have no doubt he'll be in the NHL this year, likely on a full-time basis. Put up 61 points in 45 games last year after putting up 9 points in 15 games at the end of the 2021 season. Did get a couple NHL games under his belt at the end of the season, put up 2 points in 2 games. So Jack Quinn, to me, has a real potential here to be a real solid goal-scoring right-winger play within the Buffalo Sabres top 6 here. It should be a mainstay for many years to come. We also have J.J. Peterka, a left shot, but plays the right side on the right wing, 20 years of age. Second round pick in the 2020 draft as well, 34th overall, German-born player. Played last year in the AHL as well, along with Quinn, and absolutely dominated, putting up 68 points in 70 games. Had a couple NHL games at the end of the season here as well. Obviously, a countryman and former teammate of Tim Stützle. Peterka is a player on the rise here, and another solid scoring winger. Wouldn't be shocked to see Peterka and Quinn be line mates in Buffalo in the top 6 for a long time to come here. Now, we also have Isak Rosen, another first rounder from the 2021 draft, 14th overall. A left winger out of Sweden, 19 years of age, 5'10", 165. Certainly has potential to be a pretty good, middle 6 forward. I would project him as, obviously, being out of Sweden with his characteristics. He should be a decent player to produce some offense, but also be a pretty good two-way player as well for Buffalo, and you do need a good mix of that for sure here in your lineup. We also have Josh Bloom, was another left winger from Ontario, 19 years of age, 6'2", 180. He was a third-round pick in the 2021 draft, 95th overall. Playing for the Saginaw Spirits, was a 30-goal season last year, 61 points in 67 games, so pretty solid. Obviously, we'll need more time to develop, but Bloom has the potential. At least looks like right now he does have decent odds of being an NHLer in the not-too-distant future. We also have Olivier Nadeau, of course, played for the Shawinigan Cataracts, the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League champions from this past year, appeared in the Memorial Cup as well. Of course, right winger, 19 years of age, 6'2", 198, fourth-round pick last year in the 21 draft. Put up a real solid year this year, 78 points in 65 games for Shawinigan, including 35 goals. Put up a point per game in the playoffs on the way to capturing the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League Championship. And as I said, had a pretty good showing here as well in the Memorial Cup. And then lastly here, I also want to include Matteo Constantini, another left shot centerman who's 19, 6 feet tall, 174. He was a 5th-round pick back in 2020 here, playing recently with the University of North Dakota, but he had a pretty solid year, 21 points in 35 games, and yet another player in the Sabres system to watch out for in the college hockey scene that we could maybe see make the jump to pro hockey in the next season or two, but definitely will need some seasoning before making the NHL jump. So that's my full analysis for the 2022 NHL drafted prospects for the Sabres, as well as some of their other top prospects. Overall, I think it's fair to say they have a pretty stacked prospect pool here. They already have a lot of other younger players as well already on their roster that are still, just barely not prospects anymore, that have only been playing 1 or 2 seasons, anywhere from 19 to 21 years of age. I do like the direction of this team, and we'll have to see how much potential they are able to fulfill here with a lot of these real solid looking prospect players. So let me know your thoughts on the prospect pool and the drafted prospects from this year's draft for the Buffalo Sabres down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll be doing a video like this for all the other NHL teams, as well as covering all the latest NHL news and rumors from around the league as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.